developments in the Senate expense scandal. Global News has learned Senator Pamela Wallin will have to write an even larger check than the audit called for. This comes as tough questions are being asked about what Wallin and her Senate colleagues are doing with their time and our money. Mike Couteur joins us from Parliament Hill with the details. Mike.
Well, Robin, Pamela Wallin is already paying back $121,000 for bogus expense claims, and a Senate committee has gone through another $21,000 red flagged by the auditors. Global News has learned she's going to have to pay back some of those expenses too. And the Senate committee is still working on a final tally. Wallin has claimed that all of the travel was for Senate business, but her colleagues determined in many cases the trips had nothing to do with her role in the upper chamber.
Most Canadians think a senator's job is to show up in Ottawa, debate legislation, and pass it. Pamela Wallin has a grander vision, describing herself as an activist senator with a broad interpretation of Senate business. For instance, she believed a dinner meeting with representatives from Chatelaine Magazine and the New York City Ballet was a good way of serving Canadians. Another example, a meeting with a journalist to talk about the political career of Saskatchewan Premier Brad Wall. Those, among others, were paid for by the taxpayer.
We're not entitled to take private trips and charge them to the Senate, and that appears to be what the auditors have identified that Senator Wallin was doing.
Global News has found 9 other members of the upper chamber who crisscrossed the country for their chosen causes on your dime. In the last quarter, these senators racked up tens of thousands of dollars in travel bills. Liberal Nick Sibiston was the highest flyer, charging taxpayers more than $32,000 in other travel. Sibiston justifies the claims, saying he meets with Aboriginal leaders and recently attended an Arctic summit in Norway with his wife.
Do you think most taxpayers would agree with that?
Conservative Senator Tan Hai No spent almost $20,000 in travel, which he says was to meet Vietnamese communities across Canada.
Frankly, it's not just about the claims and if they're legitimate, it's about, is this body legitimate, and we don't think it is.
Now, the Senate has only just recently tightened the rules on travel. Members of the Red Chamber now have to specify what they're doing on each trip. They can't just write down Senate business and expect to get reimbursed. But those kinds of reforms aren't good enough for some. The NDP says it'll continue to push to abolish the Senate. Robin?